Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about Donald Trump and Joe Biden and why Donald Trump is actually favored to win the election based on demographics as of right now. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and drop a comment down below. And so looking at this election model that is basically done using demographics, we can see the 2020 margins for all of these categories, which include the age group, the education level, the female or male category, income, and race. And essentially what this does is it models the election. So pretty much what you see here is you see, Biden with his exact, victory from the previous cycle based on the current demographic model that they have in place here. And if you play around with these, you could, basically experiment and all the states end up changing, flipping to Trump or Biden. And essentially, we're going to be playing around with these demographics and seeing where the electoral map actually ends up. For the first group, we're going to be doing the age. I expect 18 to 29-year-old voters because the verdict, I think they're going to get a little bit closer. I expect it to be around a 12-point win for Biden, which is going to be a lot lower than 2020. That already puts him winning Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. That already puts him winning Georgia by almost 2 points. He barely picks off Pennsylvania by like a point. Nevada's really close. Michigan is literally within a point. And so that already puts Trump winning the state of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. If we look at 30 to 44-year-olds, I think they're going to shift, to the Republicans, but nearly not as much as some of the other age groups. I think 45 to 64 is actually going to get slightly more Democrat, and you're going to see this plus 65 vote get a little bit more Democrat. I think it's probably going to end up as like a +6 victory for Donald Trump. 45 to 64, you're going to see it probably be +2. So essentially, Trump barely now wins Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona. Based on this, he's losing the popular vote by roughly the same amount as of right now. Now, college educated voters, I think, are going to, Biden's going to hemorrhage support with them, but I think that he's actually going to retain more of them now after the verdict. I think this group, he's going to be able to retain a lot of these, Israel Hamas type of voters in his column. However, I think non-college voters are going to shift to Trump massively, which gives him the state of Minnesota. That already puts him at 323 electoral votes, and he's winning the popular vote by 2. The female vote, I expect it to get heavy for Biden. I think he's probably going to win it by about 19 points, possibly 18. The male vote, you're going to see it shift towards Trump, but not necessarily as much as the female vote gets more Democrats. You're going to see a gender gap actually probably larger than 2016, even in some cases. Under 30K, I expect this demographic to probably become narrower. I think Republicans are going to win 30 to 60K by a couple points. 60, 100K, you're going to see the same thing. However, 100 or more, I think you're actually going to see this group shift about roughly 3 points to the left, which puts New Hampshire into Biden's column. So now Trump's ahead by 3. And then last but not least, we have the demographic model here showing the different races. African Americans, I expect Trump to get about 20% of the African American vote, which puts him at a 20-point victory with puts him at around 20%. So it'd be a 60-point victory for Biden. With black voters, Hispanic voters, I think they are going to get significantly closer. I think Donald Trump's probably going to lose them by about 10 points or so. That puts New Mexico and New Hampshire in his column. And then you're going to see the other votes shift a little bit more Republican. However, white voters, I actually think, are going to shift about a point or so, to the left. Not as much as they would have before, but I definitely think they're still going to shift to the left compared to the rest of the national environment. And so that puts Donald Trump actually winning the popular vote by around 8 percentage points, which is around where my model has it at. My model has it at around, 6.1%. So it's not ridiculously off from that. And you see a similar electoral college result based out of this. And so if we go down to the swing states, we're going to be able to fill out all of these safe Republican states, all the safe Democratic states, and all the results that are going to unfold. The safe Democrat states from here, we could see even California is not going to be safe according to this demographic model. The states of Hawaii would be safe. You would see Maryland, Massachusetts, Vermont. These would still be safe. And the District of Columbia. That's literally all the safe states for Biden. Even California is not in that column. You're going to see California be around a 13-point victory for Biden. Same thing in New York, you'd see it be around 13 points for the incumbent president. You would see Rhode Island come down to just a couple points, including the state of Connecticut. And you'd even see Delaware come within, like 7 points of flipping, which would be absolutely insane. Washington would be a 10-point victory for Biden. Illinois would actually be relatively competitive, including New Jersey and Colorado. The state of basically Oregon would be a likely margin. Colorado, Illinois, New Jersey, those would be lean Democrat states on the map. And then, of course, you have Maine's first congressional district being a likely margin. And that's essentially almost all the electoral votes for Joe Biden on the map. I believe he's going to get just a tiny bit more. You can see he gets 197. So I'm not exactly sure what he's got. Oh, he's going to get that in New Hampshire. So New Hampshire is really close. It's literally a tilt margin for him. It's very, very competitive, but he does narrowly get the state of New Hampshire. And now we're going to be filling in the Republican states. We're going to see, as of right now, that New Mexico goes to Donald Trump by 8 percentage points in this scenario due to the huge shift with Hispanic voters, which would be absolutely insane if that happened. We see a state like Virginia actually goes towards Trump's column by a lean margin, which is fairly interesting. I guess the shift with black voters definitely affects the state margin by quite a bit. You see a state like Maine at large, you see that being lean Democrat in this scenario. And New Hampshire, is pretty close. Minnesota barely goes, to Donald Trump. It's actually just about a tilt margin there, which is very fascinating. Then the popular vote comes. So Minnesota is actually voting, basically a couple of points to the left of the national environment. We see a state like Michigan, that's going to be around a 7-point victory for Trump, according to this. We see Nevada be an 11-point victory for Donald Trump in this scenario. Pennsylvania, Georgia, even Georgia is like a 14-point win, which is absolutely insane. Pennsylvania is a very easy victory for Donald Trump. He wins that by about 8 points. Wisconsin is around a 9-point victory. So you see 9 points in Wisconsin, 7 in Michigan, and 8 in Pennsylvania, and 14 in Georgia, which is absolutely insane. North Carolina is also around a 14-point victory for Donald Trump as of right now. And Arizona is around a 12-point win for him in this scenario. So you're going to see he's going to fill in the map quite extensively. And right after that, you essentially see Florida be an 18-point win, Texas 22 points, Ohio 18, Iowa 17. So these fill in safe. And essentially, you could basically fill in the rest of these states as safe because everything below that would essentially probably end up being a safe Republican state. You'd have Nebraska at large, as well as the first congressional district. And the second congressional district actually votes for Trump by a likely margin. And we'll even see Maine's first actually be, a double-digit win for Trump. So this is what the Electoral College would look like based on the demographics that I have projected. Donald Trump is winning with 341 electoral votes to Joe Biden's 197. Now, this map clearly is pretty insane because we see an 8-point win in New Mexico. It's actually more Republican than Michigan would be, and it would basically trend completely right off a cliff. It would definitely be a humongous shift in the state of New Mexico, 100%. And Minnesota being tilt Republican, while New Mexico being R+8 would be pretty astonishing. In my opinion, the state would definitely trend hard to the right. At that point, you'd probably see it being a leaning Republican state for 2028 if that were to actually occur. And Donald Trump would enjoy a pretty hefty electoral college margin. And so I wanted to show what the demographics would show for the election because Biden is not in a good spot. And Biden, in some polls is even, losing the black vote by 25 points. He's losing the white vote by more. He loses the white vote by a little bit. Sometimes Trump is ahead, with Hispanics. So let's say he's up by 3 with Hispanics. I think one poll had him up by 2 with them. And let's say even young voters, there was a poll that had him ahead by 4 with that group. So that would put Trump at 390 electoral votes to Biden's 148. He'd be winning the popular vote by 14. You'd essentially see a landslide election. California would be within 7 points. New York would be around a 6-point win for Biden. We'd see Rhode Island get under 5. Connecticut would be within 3. Delaware's a 2-point win. Washington is a 4-point victory. Illinois and New Jersey are both lean Republican victories. Oregon would be within two. Colorado would almost be a 5 point win for Trump. New Mexico is almost safe Republican, and Virginia is a 7 point win for Donald Trump. Maine at large would flip. New Hampshire would almost be likely, and you would see Minnesota be likely, you'd see Michigan, Nevada would be safe, Pennsylvania would almost be safe, Georgia is a safe state on the map. So you'd see stunning pickups for Donald Trump, and just to kind of demonstrate that, you would see humongous shifts, within the state electorate. Like you would see these crazy shifts. You'd essentially see all these states vote lean. Virginia would probably be safe. New Mexico is right around being safe. These would be lean Democratic margins. These would start narrowing up even a state like this. You'd see even Maryland fall under a couple points, and Delaware would be within a lean margin. Maine at large would be flipping. So you would see a crazy looking map, and even New Hampshire would flip. So you would see an insane looking map if Donald Trump were to do even better than what the polling suggests. And my demographics are not even as high as what the polling would even suggest, which there have been multiple polls with Trump winning 18 to 29-year-old voters. He gets 25% of the black vote. He wins Hispanics in some of them. So if all those demographics were to come true, and that doesn't even take into account to the female vote not going for Biden as hard, that could put states like Delaware and Oregon there. The male vote could shift even more. That put states like Connecticut, Maine on the map. College educated voters could still hemorrhage. That puts New York, Rhode Island, Washington. So there is a big possibility that Trump could go out there and absolutely just demolish Biden in an election. But as of right now, I do in fact have him, winning, some deep Democrat areas, but he still manages to struggle to win certain states, especially places in the Rust Belt, even New Mexico, he struggles. So as of right now, from the demographic model that we just used, Trump would win 341 electoral college votes to 197. And this is a big thing that's incorporated in my election model. As you could see here, is that demographics basically change states quite a bit. And so I have the margins from the last time I actually updated my demographic model. I may end up doing it again just to kind of update the model a bit. And so, based out of the demographics that I think are going to happen, we get a map result. I put in the margins, and those margins basically are factored in to my election model, which sway the results just a tiny bit in certain states. And then the trends kind of make a little bit more sense. Like before this, Arizona was voting to the right of Georgia by like 3 points. Now Georgia's voting to the right of Arizona by like around a half a point. You see Florida and Texas be, a little bit closer in voting patterns. Before it was like Texas voting to the right of Florida by like 4 or 5. Like that didn't really make sense, especially since Florida's been trending super Republican. But as of right now, this is my electoral college map based on demographics. Only my election model actually has Trump flipping New Hampshire. So he does actually pick up New Hampshire, but not Maine at large just yet. So the demographic model map that I have and basically the model that I have are very, very similar. And so, if you guys did enjoy this quick analysis based on a demographics for the 2024 election, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to go ahead and follow Twitter and join the Discord server in the description down below. And I will see you guys very, very soon.